All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Amanda Crispell. I'm the Assistant Dean of Game Development. Before we get started, I would like to ask you that you turn off your noisemakers and your cell phones for the duration of the show. Thank you. And I would like to welcome you all to the 12th Annual Game Studios Senior Show here at Champlain College. Seniors, this is your shining hour, so let's hear it. So I'd like to acknowledge that we are live streaming next door to the Champlain Room and on Twitch so that all our friends and family and alumni can celebrate with us. So tonight we gather to honor and showcase the work of our graduating seniors of the class of 2019 in game art animation, game design, game programming, and game production management. Tonight's presentations, reels, and games represent not just an academic year of work, the time it took to make these games, but a full academic journey to becoming a highly skilled and experienced game developer. One final note before we get started, there's a small change in the program. The senior gift will be presented at the end of the night. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Donald J. Lockman, the 8th president of Champlain College.
Thank you, Amanda. Wow, I can't see anything. But as I walked in, I noted that this is the only time all year that this auditorium has every seat taken. So it tells you how important this is to the Champlain College community. I want to welcome students, faculty, staff, family, and friends to this amazing annual event. As Amanda said, this is our 12th year. And yes, that's me on playing Spacebox at the Game Developers Conference a couple of years ago in San Francisco. I want to extend a special welcome to the game company recruiters who are here tonight. Thank you for making the trip to Burlington. And another thank you to two amazing women who pull this off every year, Amanda Crispell and Daphne Walker. Thank you for all you do. So students, we are so incredibly proud of you. And we are looking forward to what we're going to see here tonight and then playing your games down in the gallery downstairs later. So I am not a gamer by profession or trade. I fancy myself a historian. And one of the things I love about Champlain is that John Dewey's birthplace is on Willard Street, just down the block from Champlain College. And John Dewey was a visionary who had groundbreaking ideas about what education should be in the 20th century. He was an educator who taught at UVM for a number of years before moving to the University of Chicago. And John Dewey was a huge believer in the value of experiential education. He felt you cannot truly understand the subject matter that you're studying unless you actually engage in projects and work that expose you to what you're trying to understand. And I've been talking to a number of these recruiters, as well as my visit. My wife and I visited the Game Developers Conference this year, as we do every year. And we also went to Los Angeles to visit a couple of game companies, including Sony Santa Monica Studios. And what I hear over and over again is that our approach to educating our game students is differentiating and distinctive in the higher education industry. From day one, students, you are exposed to the upside-down curriculum. You work on teams. You now have 4 years of experience building games with your peers across a variety of disciplines in the game development area. And that is really different. And so my ask of you, as you go out into the world as you look for jobs or you start the jobs that you already have, is to play this up, to trumpet the distinctive approach that Champlain College has to our educational experience, because you are going to be more successful in your careers because of your attendance at Champlain College, and you are going to help the industry be more successful because of what you've learned here and the approach that we've taken. We are so proud of you, and I know for many of you, you have a very intense 24 hours ahead of you. We wish you the best of luck. You have a huge cheering section here at the college, wanting you to be as successful as you can be, and we appreciate your efforts to be part of our real game studio here at Champlain College. Thank you, and let the show begin. With that, I'll turn it back to Amanda.
Thank you, Don. So each year we like to honor our graduating class with a keynote speaker we believe can impart some words of wisdom, share a bit of their journey, and inspire. It is my honor to introduce Kartik Bala. Kartik, along with his brother Gua, are founders of Velen Ventures, a game-focused innovation investment company, and Velen Studios, a new indie studio focused on the discovery of breakthrough new game experiences. Previously, Kartik and Gua co-founded Vicarious Visions in 1991 while both were in high school. VV has since grown to become an industry-leading game developer, helping to shape popular culture around the world. In 2005, the Ballas sold Vicarious Visions to Activision Blizzard. The brothers have built and led teams in the development of multi-billion-dollar franchises such as Skylanders, Guitar Hero, and more that have had critical and commercial success. After leading Vicarious Visions for 25 years, the brothers transitioned out of the company to become entrepreneurs again. Kartik enjoys mentoring entrepreneurs in startup ventures and looking at how game technologies can transform the world. He holds bachelor's degrees in computer science and psychology from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and an MBA from MIT Sloan. Welcome, Kartik. You can use this.
Thank you. All right. I am really excited to be here. I just wanted to come here to play the games, but then they asked me to talk, so you're going to have to put up with me for a little bit. So some of you know me, and I came here a couple months ago. I was blown away by the teams and the students and the projects going on. So I'm really excited to see the finished work. I'm sure you guys all have worked extremely hard, and I'm very envious of the position that you guys are in. Just starting out in your career. So Amanda talks a little bit about it. So I've been really fortunate. I've been making games for almost 30 years now, and been fortunate to work on some pretty big games that have sold a couple of copies, and also ones that have been total disasters as well. Learning a lot along the way, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. Reflect back on the last 30 years of games. Maybe make a little crystal ball prediction of what may be to come in the industry, and maybe a couple of bits of advice. So my brother and I, we started Vicarious Visions when we were in high school. I was 15, he was 14. That was the name of the company that we started in our parents' basement. It was called Vicarious Visions because I spelled vicarious wrong on a spelling test in English class. And the following week, we started the company. And so that's why Vicarious. But at any rate, love playing games. And we actually got our first computer like a couple years before that. Before that, we couldn't afford and didn't have a computer. And, wanted to really, figure out how games worked. And this is before internet. Very, very early days of CD-ROM, no middleware or tools or anything like that out there. It was a dark art, and loved playing a lot of different games and adventure games. And this was the first game that we worked on starting in high school. It was a game called Synergist. It took me 5 years to get this game made. It took me 3 years in high school, and finally, when I was a freshman at RPI, we got our first publishing deal. My brother was a high school senior, which was really exciting because we got a chance to actually make our game. And this game was a point-and-click adventure game, and my brother did a lot of the art, and we hand-painted them. with acrylics and stuff, and we went to the local Kinko's to scan them in because couldn't afford a scanner, and built a blue screen soundstage in my parents' basement and invited strangers to our basement to to videotape them, and wrote our own video codecs to be able to do full motion video because that wasn't a thing really yet, and so it was pretty crazy. My parents really didn't understand what we were doing, and games were not cool, so I didn't tell anybody really. It was not a way to get any dates at all in high school. It was kind of the opposite. But anyway, we got our first publishing deal, and kind of got screwed when we got done. Didn't get the royalties that we were promised, and didn't really have any money to legally go after the company, and had to decide whether we were going to keep going or not, and whether I was going to finish college. And I remember Christmas 1996 calling my dad, and I said I was in a lot of trouble, and he's like, how much trouble? And I told him the number, and it was dead silence on the other end of the phone, and gave me the best piece of advice ever. He goes, you got yourself into this mess, get yourself out, and he hung up. That was Christmas. And I'm like, all right, gonna make it work. And the following year, I raised some capital, some angel investors invested in us, because we kind of made a thing. I didn't even have a business plan, didn't think that making a company was something I wanted to do. I just wanted to make games. But I realized we had to build a company that was going to have great people, and if you build a smart company with great talent, then great games are hopefully going to be made. And so we got some investment money. It was like $250,000, which was pretty cool, being still in school. But that money came and went like that, and we had to really figure it out. And but we were working on figuring it out. We got into handheld gaming, and that was really neat. And we built the studio up. That's like an old photo back in the RPI incubator when it was just a handful of us still in college, and it grew, which is kind of neat. And Vicarious is going strong with a few folks here in the audience, and I'm so proud of the team and what we've accomplished over the years. And there was lots of ups and downs, lots of ups and downs. In 2000, our biggest customer went out of business, and my brother and I had to take a bank loan of $1 million, personal loan. We were a couple years out of college, and it was just all liabilities. So that was going to be crazy, because if we didn't pull this off, we would be paying this off for the rest of our lives. And we didn't miss a single payroll, and we managed to pull the plane up before it crashed. And so there's a lot of ups and downs, in the industry. And but then, over time, the story kind of cleans up after itself. It kind of looks like it's a straight line up, but it's anything but. And you'll experience that in your careers. So we ran Vicarious Visions for 25 years, and in 2016, on the 25th anniversary, we wanted to go back to our roots as entrepreneurs and start over from scratch. And that was really, really difficult. We learned a lot in the process, and building up into making these massive AAA games at a big studio, and then working with multiple studios was amazing. But kind of love the new indie scene that's going on, and opportunity to do something new and different. So hence the birth of our new studio, Valence Studios in Troy. It's pretty cool. It's very different. We didn't want to repeat what we did before, and we wanted to try something new. So the mission of Valence Studios is to fundamentally explore new forms of play, which means trying to come up with game mechanics and play patterns you haven't seen in video games before, which is kind of hard. And so it's very discovery-focused kind of studio, very experimental, and we're growing. So we're about 50 people now. We're going to get to 80, I think, by the end of the year, which is cool. Totally indie, working on some really interesting projects. And our business plan this time around is actually really simple. We wrote it on a index card, a 3x5 index card, and it's still only that. And it's very simple. Number one, build an awesome team. Number two, go find the magic in something new that the team is really passionate about. Number three, once you find the magic, figure out the go-to-market strategy and who the partners are. And then number four, build it, ship it, and evolve it with the community of players. That's it. And it sounds kind of simple, and actually it takes a lot of inspiration from how we started, how you guys work, and as a student project. But it's actually not done as often as you would think within the industry. But it was a unique opportunity for us to kind of go after it. So it's a very different kind of experience, but there's a real opportunity in the industry as it becomes more and more diverse for the kind of content that people want to play. So we're excited about that. But when you look at the industry overall, it's massively grown, in the last 30 years. There's over 2 billion gamers on this planet. That's like a third of the world's population, and it's just growing. Last year was like $130 billion in revenue, projected to go to $180 billion by 2021. Why is that? What's drawing this kind of, amazing growth rate, for entertainment? Because it is the fastest growing form of entertainment and is driving technological change in so many other industries. So I've been thinking about this for a while now, and looking back on the last 30 years. And there's been these really interesting, transformational waves, I call them, decade by decade. And so when we looked at 1990s, when we started, it was actually multimedia PCs and CD-ROM that completely changed. And you had Windows and Mac, where it wasn't about DOS anymore. It really became an opportunity to make computers less intimidating and get it into people's homes. It wasn't just for all us nerds. It was for everybody else too. And you had that. You had real-time 3D graphics. You had Doom, and you had Quake. Driving that, the birth of the GPU, and also handheld. There's this little itty-bitty game called Pokemon that Nintendo created, and it kind of jump-started it. Even though Game Boy, the original Game Boy, was in 1989, it was really that drove portable gaming in a whole new way. And then when you went into the 2000s, you had this evolution, in 3D graphics that became much more immersive and so on. And then you had mobile gaming. It was an amazing experience for me personally. With the launch of iPhone 4, I had the opportunity to be at the Apple keynote with Steve Jobs, and it was amazing. It was Reed Hastings debuting Netflix for the very first time, streaming on a phone. So it was like a new thing. And it was Mark Pincus demoing one of the first free-to-play games with Farmville as a social game on mobile. And it was me with new Guitar Hero, which we launched. We didn't even pre-market it or announce it, and it was right on the spot. There was a global audience watching, 6,000 people in the live audience. We said it's available now. Boom, the servers lit up. And by the time I sat down, it was #1 in the App Store. It's crazy. It was a whole new way of launching products that was like, man, this is going to be a thing. So you had social casual games and free-to-play. That became a whole new way of attracting global audiences as well. And so you had an evolution of that. And this last decade, you've had the rise of mobile gaming and esports. Now, esports has actually been around for a while. In Korea, it was already a thing with StarCraft 1 in 1996, 1998. But that's really become a global phenomenon. And as you guys all know, games aren't just singular products anymore. Games as a service is a way of connecting with the community and tying into all the stuff that's streaming and spectators and how influences have transformed the world of marketing and advertising. All of these things have led to the expansion of video games and the accessibility of video games to a bigger and bigger audience. So what's next? What are the next 10 years? And you guys, as game designers, game developers, need to be thinking about the transformational waves of the next decade. It's great to be working on games that are built on established paradigms, but you want to really look at these transformational waves because it's the games that ride those waves that break through, appeal to a new, broader audience, and also find, the commercial success. So although I don't claim to be an exhaustive list, I want to kind of give you a little, at least my cheat sheet for what I think the next 10 years are, and there's already some indicators around it. So you saw some announcements from Google. Other people will also be making announcements. Microsoft has made some partial announcement around that. But cloud gaming and streaming of games is going to fundamentally open up access to a whole new set of players. But not just, hey, you don't need a console anymore, but like the infinite compute power is going to completely change the kind of experiences that you can create. And more powerful than that, I believe, is the fact that you can turn on any screen and continue and play the experience and be connected to other players. It's what we saw with Netflix and streaming. And I remember distinctly back 2010, 2011, my daughter was 3 years old, and we were playing with the Xbox Kinect down in the living room. And we came up to the bedroom, and she's like, oh, I want to play that dance game upstairs. And I said, you can't. She's like, why? I'm like, the box is downstairs. And she's like, you're lying. It's like, you want me to go to bed now, don't you? And it's like, I'm like, no. The box is downstairs. There's a little camera thing, and the box is downstairs. You can't play it up here. And she's like, well, I can watch my show up here. I can watch my show downstairs. Why can't I play my game up here? I'm like, that's pretty brilliant from a 3-year-old. I'm like, I should be done in this industry, It's like, anyway, any screen, it's going to be a thing. Esports, we haven't seen anything yet. Look at traditional sports. You look at how embedded it is into culture, into our family, social fabric. That's going to happen with esports. It's going to be even broader because of the type of game experiences. I see it at the high school level and what's forming at the intercollegiate level. As it's forming, it's part of athletics departments in colleges. There's scholarship programs that are being built around it to attract the best talent. It's going to be a fundamental shift. And broadcasting of that kind of content and how it's going to be supported for creators is going to be really interesting to see evolve. Business models, I know you don't necessarily think about that, but just like free-to-play completely transformed who gets access, there are new business models that are on the horizon, including subscription. You saw Apple announce Apple Arcade. You've got Xbox Game Pass. When a game title, I can't stress this enough, when a game title doesn't have to be successful on the individual P&L, meaning the profitability of an individual title, and it's actually based on engagement of a broad audience and having different tastes, and you want to be able to engage them for a long period of time, fundamentally changes the value of that content, especially new, distinctive experiences that you can create that previously would never get greenlit because there's not enough players who are going to buy it. Completely changes the equation. And again, you can look at Netflix and streaming and how that world has been disrupted for the creation of content and the quality of content that we now get compared to the dark days of the 90s and 2000s when it was all reality TV, filling the airwaves, right? The quality scripted content that we get now from creators fundamentally changes the equations and the power between creators and the players in the community. Global access and 5G. Again, the bandwidth, getting rid of the restraints. For most of the world, what's in their pocket is the most powerful computing device that they have access to. And being able to access the content in new ways and richer content is going to be significant. You hear about this? It's disrupting in so many different industries around machine learning and AI. The way it's going to change the tools that are built for content creation for games, how within the games themselves, how AI is going to change and how we do interaction between humans as well. It's going to have some fundamental shifts, and it's going to create new kinds of experiences that we haven't seen before. And one of the things I'm actually most interested in is how immersion is no longer about the richness of graphics that are into the screen. That's going to be big and going to get bigger as we go delve more into the screen. It's actually how the digital world comes into the real world and we create experiences out here and how it creates different kinds of interaction with each other. And we're only at the infancy there. The kind of radical changes that are happening in core technologies, core sensor technologies, things that we're exposed to, I've gotten some level of visibility into what that looks like over the next 10 years is going to fundamentally transform the kind of experiences that you can create. So what I'm really trying to say is game developers, we've got a massive opportunity to create new kinds of experiences, and I think that it's our duty to do that. It's our role in the world to be able to do that and transform the world. And especially in this industry, the same old gets pretty old pretty quick. So this is why, like, after making games for 30 years, I'm like just as excited as I was when I was 15, and I'm super excited about what you guys are going to create, because you're going to run circles around me. So when you take this for what it's worth, when you're thinking about your career, I think there's a bunch of different ways you can go. There's awesome opportunities at established studios in AAA and mobile, and honing your craft. It's an opportunity to work in where there's established processes and structure, and you can really get specialized in your core skill set and build world-class stuff and learn a lot from others. I think there's a very viable path there, among key studios. Many of them are here today. But equally as viable are joining an indie, or a startup, because there's all these new opportunities for indies to thrive. And leaving the world of AAA and going back into indie really opened my eyes to see how people are being very successful, in the space, and how these other transformations are going to actually open up even more opportunities in the indie scene. You could also start an indie studio, which is crazy, by some, but hey, some people have done all right with that. But it comes with its risks. The interesting thing is you end up learning a lot about a lot of different things really, really fast, because you got to do everything. And as an indie studio, you'll have to learn the business side of it as well. There's no substitute, for that, especially if you've got the chemistry with a core group. And again, new opportunities are on the horizon from a business model and the desire for distinctive content to be able to do it. Or you can kind of go solo, in terms of freelance, and keep honing your skills with your portfolio, finding talent on ArtStation and stuff, that are freelance talents. Like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Let's bring that person in. And working with indies, this is a great efficient cost model for them. And there's a ton of opportunities even as freelance. But with all of it, there's I think there's some common elements that you want to really kind of think about. To determine what path is right, for you. So first and foremost, I think you got to figure out what is important to you, what feels right. And there needs to be a values alignment, your personal values, and how that's aligned with whatever organization you join, whatever you decide to do. It's got to feel right, from that. It's when it's misaligned like that, you kind of start going sideways and you're not happy. So you want to really kind of go after what makes you happy and what you're passionate about. And this has always been true. It's the developers who really thrive in the industry and continue to do great stuff are always learning new stuff. So the way you're learning in school, you got to keep that going and even accelerate that. And there's no stopping of it, because this industry continues to move super fast. It's really important to be observant about what else is going on in the world and what's happening in the industry, but you don't want to be slaves to those trends, right? What you want to try and avoid, and it's really hard, is oh, this is what's hot. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this with a twist. This is what's hot, because that's always looking back, as opposed to looking forward. So you kind of see these waves, project out what's going to be the next evolution or the next step, or how you can contribute to it. Don't be slaves to it, because consumers want to be surprised. And you can't, and Mr. Iwata, once said, you can't go ask a consumer, tell me what surprises you. It's just an impossible question. And so you need to, and it's our opportunity and our duty to surprise consumers. And so you don't want to be slaves to the trends, but you want to learn from it. Be curious. This is actually one of the single most important things that we look for when we're hiring, are people who are naturally curious about anything and everything. And being curious allows you to really explore and discover ideas or approaches to things that other people haven't. You guys are incredibly talented. I mean, it's just seeing the work and what you guys are producing. I wish I was half as smart as you guys when I was 21, 22. Don't sell yourself short, but people don't work well, and teams don't work well when there are a lot of egos. And so you can come in, you want to contribute, and even the folks that we've hired, that have come right out of Champlain College. I'm like, don't let anybody who's senior intimidate you, because you got a lot to contribute, and you're here because we know we can learn a lot from you, but also kind of keep the ego in check, and learn a lot from others. And I think at the end of the day, you're carving your own path, and nobody's going to tell you what that is. That's for you to figure out, and I encourage you to do that, and have fun with it. I am super envious of where you guys are at, and I am really just looking forward to playing the games tonight. So, thank you.
So thank you, Kartik. Okay, now what you've all been waiting for, the presentations of the teams. So we're going to have each team come up and present their game and their team members, and then we'll see the reels from all of the team members. So the first up is Arachnotron, and if we could bring the front house lights up just a touch so that the teams can be seen. All right, Arachnotron, where are you?
Wow, just what a rush. My name is Nick Oprice. I'm a producer, and I am proud to introduce the team Wrong Warp Games. Starting off with Evan Jansen, the lead designer. Connor Tolley, level designer and QA manager. Billy Beanland, level designer. Nicholas Robbins, lead programmer. Corey Smith, gameplay systems programmer. Christopher Brennan, AI programmer. Sean Napolitano, lead artist. Joshua Walker, VFX artist. Michael Andrews, 3D environment artist. Maria Crawford, 2D and UI artist. And finally, Matthew Mignault, our other producer.
So yes, as was shared, I'm the other producer. All right. So this is Arachnotron, a 3D action shooter where you can traverse any surface of the environment just like a spider would. Any surface, paneling, anything you see, even some bosses, you can walk on. And with that, let's get right to the gameplay.
So we're a very cross-functional team with
with a lot of different people wearing a lot of different hats, from design to programming to production to art.
One thing that's crucial in creating this vision for Arachnotron is a robust pipeline. This allows artists to get in and iterate as quickly as possible and communicate with designers and programmers over what works, what doesn't work.
We took to using the 3D drawing program Quill to sketch out what our levels would look like.
With everything being navigatable, we decided to not have the AI get to the player, but have the AI interact with the player from their own surface.
It's also just been a challenge of guiding the player through each level and making sure that they know where to go at all times.
You're watching your testers play through a level and they just don't even look at you the entire time. You're just like, we have it, there we go, done.
So for the spider, we really made sure that it felt good to the player to move around the environment while also not killing our artists with animation loads. So that's why I implemented inverse kinematics to help that.
And because we were using the IK system, it allowed us to have the spider conform to the environment dynamically so that I wouldn't have to animate a million different positions.
We have an outline shader in our game to draw an outline around all the meshes to make the art style feel more cohesive and pop.
It helped to work with the art team because they had the artistic vision for the game and knew what we should and shouldn't do in terms of shaders and visual effects.
So the goal of the UI is to maximize 2D visual clarity without having the 2D graphics disappear into the 3D graphics.
Visual clarity in Arachnotron is a very important aspect, especially for the marketing, because when someone sees this game for the first time, there's often a lot going on. So being able to tell exactly what's happening at all times at just a given glance is very important to this project.
Arachnotron started with the idea of playing a robotic spider tank. This meant combining the movement of a spider with a powerful arsenal of weapons. I designed it as a third-person shooter to keep the player close to the action, but I gave the weapons limited firing angles so the player would use the wall climbing to approach challenges. I spent a lot of time adjusting the movement and camera to make sure players weren't too disoriented when moving on any surface. I also built a system of simple messenger scripts and visible connecting wires in the level to make level functionality easy for designers to set up and for players to understand. To make the movement feel like a spider tank, I used the IK system the lead programmer made to create procedural animation for the legs, and also adapted that system for our large-scale bosses to work alongside pre-made animations in a few different ways. Even a sound reactive animation system for the mandibles of the millipede boss. My name's Evan Jansen, and I did systems and technical design on Arachnotron.
All right, next up is Blood to Ink. Come on down.
Good evening. T.S. Eliot once said that the purpose of literature is to turn blood into ink. And in our game, Blood to Ink, you do just that. The game takes place in the 1950s, and you play as an author investigating the death of a Hollywood celebrity. As the author of the story, solving the mystery is not enough. The decisions you make along the way decide how the story is told and change everyone's lives along the way. I'm forever honored to introduce you to our team here today. We're Team DiscoVision. I want to start from the end. My good friend Caleb Phillips is there on the end, our lead programmer. If you sit down with Caleb and you have a problem, he'll help you figure it out, and he's a technical wizard for that. Next to him is Kieran Fraser, our 3D environment artist, somebody who took constant trips to IKEA and delivered the best furniture you'll see in our game. Next to them is Jody Briggs, our lead 2D artist, somebody whose art blew me away 2 years ago when we first met and continues to wow me every day to this day. Next to her is Kylie O'Keefe, our lead 3D artist, who challenges all of us every day to be better than we even knew we could be. Next to her is Amila Nuhodzik, our UI artist and designer. Somebody who iterated and through a very complex creative process delivered an awesome set of UI that makes our game feel great. Next to her is Joshua Greaves, one of our designers and somebody who made the house that you'll investigate in Blood to Ink really feel like a home. Samuel Scott, our technical designer and my childhood best friend. Somebody without whom I don't think our game would work in the way we want it to today. Next name is Megan Hoynes, whose pure dedication to her craft is honorable and made our game, the writing in our game, feel quite awesome as it is. Next to her is Samantha Woodrick, our narrative designer, somebody who really brought our characters to life. And finally, Miss Shea, our lead designer, somebody who's been along with me every step of the way and has made this game and led the vision to be exactly what it is today. Finally, my name is Cyrus Burris. I'm the producer for our team. Before we get to the game, I just want to take a quick second to talk to the team and quickly say thank you to all of you. This has been the joy and honor of my life. I'm so grateful for the time I've gotten to spend with you. Thank you for everything you've done, and God bless all of you. I'm fine. This is Blood Inc.
Have you seen the papers? Alfred Glenn was murdered.
What? That big Hollywood star? I wonder who could have done such a thing.
Well, does my favorite writer want to give this investigation a whirl?
Only if you'll edit the finished book.
Go explore the whole Glen mansion to find clues and maybe take a closer look.
Oh, does that mean I'll have to crack a few codes?
Well, investigation means legwork.
Who are our suspects?
Let's see. It looks like Beverly Penny Glenn, Alfred's ex-wife.
Oh, the man she had an affair with, Terrence Crane, Alfred's ex-agent.
And Margot Glenn, Alfred and Beverly's daughter.
The prime suspect, Craig Porter, Alfred's screen rival.
And someone named Nancy Thomas. Looks like she was Alfred's biggest fan.
Don't forget Johnny Holland, Alfred's former best friend.
You can discover their secrets through interviews or by using evidence.
Oh, I'll take notes along the way so I don't forget anything.
And make sure to tell me everything you find out.
We'll see about that.
Well, it's your choice. After all, that's how we turn blood
to ink.
When designing systems, I first honed discrete mechanics that can engage the player long before their full vision is realized. Regular testing and iteration allows me to pull forward the best parts of what makes something fun or interesting. If I didn't first refine the player abilities and last rights, multiplayer battles would never have been as intense as they were intended to be. On Skyritz, the early mechanics of our steampunk airships were built around traditional naval strategies and physics. Historical accuracy proved not to be the answer. Players struggled to hit anything. As the new combat designer, I tore the system down and designed around a 3D airspace rather than the planar naval space. Modern aircraft inspired a whole new weapon system with cycling cameras and informative UI. Now the player had a weapon for each situation and could roam the skies tearing apart the fleets of ships I helped design.
Hi, my name's Sam Woodrick, and I'm a game designer that specializes in level and narrative design. I first started making games as a way to tell stories when I was around 13 years old. I wanted to learn more and more about how to create unique and memorable experiences for my players, so when I entered high school, I started taking programming and game design classes. That all led up to me going to college to make this passion of mine into a career. My My favorite things to design are things that make players want to see more and more of what I've created, whether it be the environments, the story, or the characters themselves. When something happens in the story, I try to make sure that the gameplay is also affected by it as well, so that way gameplay and narrative are completely blended together. As a designer, my ultimate goal is to create experiences that my players won't ever forget. Once again, I'm Sam Woodrick, and you can see more of my work at samwoodrick.com.
In development, RV Punch had a problem of variety in the game. It was difficult for players to find a way to catch up to first place. Generally, a mechanic like drifting or gear shifting is something for players to learn, then master in racing games. But we didn't have real car physics in our game, so we had to match this, and the design team set out to solve these problems. I worked on creating and balancing different stats for each RV in our game to encourage players to try and play a style that fits themselves. Beyond this, I also made a small change to our wall punching mechanic that meant $1 million in making the game's existing racing have more depth. When punching in the game, the player's turn speed is reduced a small amount. I adjusted this so that when the player punches walls, they actually lose this turning reduction, and they also get a small boost in speed. With these changes, we effectively replaced mechanics like drifting and gear shifting, while retaining what made RV Punch unique and great. Thank you for watching.
Okay, next is Short Giraffe.
Why, hello, friends. Hi, friends. My name's Alex. I'm the producer.
Hi, I'm JT. I'm the other producer.
Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm a designer.
I'm Josh. I'm the narrative designer.
I'm Christine Brumbaugh. I am the lead and level designer.
I am Joe Martolucci. I am also lead and level designer.
I'm Lucas Spiker. I'm the systems designer, programmer.
I'm Connor Breen. I'm the UI programmer.
I'm Matthew Roy, lead programmer.
Jack Malvey, gameplay and tools programmer.
Dylan Gooley, lead artist.
Ellie Peak, character artist and animator.
And I'm Julia Walnwitz, the 2D artist.
The concept for Short Giraffe was inspired by a photoshopped image of a giraffe that was squished down to be short. I pitched this idea to my team as we were running out of ideas during a brainstorming session, and it has somehow stood around between 40 some ideas. And it was the seed that sparked into the game that we have today.
So today, Short Giraffe is a physics platformer where you play as Agent G, a secret agent giraffe, who has a robotic extendable neck. And this neck can extend, retract, and wrap around the environment to traverse levels and also defeat the evil meerkats. What you're about to see is the briefing for Agent G's mission in Short Giraffe.
Agent, are you there, Agent? This is a broadcast from headquarters to brief you on your newest mission. Your recently installed cybernetic enhancements allow you to combat the meerkat threat like never before. You'll need to be at the top of your game. These pesky critters can hide anywhere, in the trees, underwater, even on buildings. We don't know what they're planning, but it promises to be big, bigger than we've ever seen before. You'll encounter traps and pitfalls. Use your new enhancements to swing across even the widest gaps you may encounter. Maybe not like that. Better luck next time, Agent. The meerkat threat is far-reaching. Be sure to pack for all sorts of climates. Catch meerkats in the blistering Savannah sun, climb the tallest buildings you've ever seen in the city, and try not to freeze your tail off in the Arctic. Maybe even do some spelunking. Meerkats love hiding underground. Who knows? You may even end up in space. The road ahead promises to be dangerous, but you'll be fine with your new abilities. Good luck on your mission. We all believe in you, Agent M. Agent M? Agent M, are you there?
I like being a narrative guy. I like being a writer. It saves a lot of time because I don't have to go to the gym for like 10 hours a day. I can just instead write a character who has their life together.
Storytelling has always been my true passion, whether it be through stand-up, scripts for videos and short films, or my personal favorite, writing in-game dialogue. My main goal is always to make the people around me smile and laugh. Although I'm best known for comedy, I'd love to work on more serious projects. I've been honored to work on and write for some amazing games, and I'm looking forward to joining the industry so I can work on more. Thanks for watching. I'm Josh Lanham.
Hello, I'm Christine Brumpa, and I'm a level designer. The tutorial is one of the most crucial parts of a game since it's where the player gets their first impression of how it'll play. For RV Punch, I needed a tutorial to show players how the various punches could be used. So I made one the player could master all of the possible mechanics, and it was very demanding. Players are forced to master mechanics that wouldn't necessarily be needed for playing casually, so I dialed it back by only showing them the basics to get them started. For Short Giraffe, I originally made the tutorial a part of the first level in hopes of blending in each new mechanic. This meant players had to go through an entire level just to learn how to play, which would take a while. To make this quicker, I came up with our checklist tutorial, which did a roll call for each mechanic the player would successfully complete. I wrote off a list on how each mechanic should be shown and created a team to help bring it to life. You can find more of my work on christinebrumadesign.com.
Hi, my name is Dylan Alter, and I'm a technical and systems designer. When I joined the Short Giraffe team, they wanted to make as many levels as possible. With the introduction of so many new puzzle mechanics, everything working together was essential. A typical level in Short Giraffe has at least 4 puzzles using a variety of different systems, and with over 20 levels, this meant that iteration time was imperative. Setting up a puzzle in Short Giraffe involving multiple different systems is quick and easy. For example, in this puzzle we want to power on this button by connecting these broken wires. and then once powered on, activate the heat lamps to melt the ice. Doing so takes merely seconds to set up. Building the puzzle takes as long as beating the puzzle. Using Unity's event system as the backbone of our various puzzle systems made it quick and easy for anyone on the team to make a puzzle using a simple interface. My name is Dylan Alter, and if you would like to see more of my work, please visit my portfolio. Thank you.
Okay, the next game is Stray the Wayward Path.
It is really bright up here, wow. Hey, but we can see. We can't see, yeah. All right, hello everyone, good evening. I'm Eduardo, and I'm the lead producer of this wonderful team. So next to me we have our lead designer, Nick, accompanied by John and Lenny. We have our narrative designer, John Vo, our lead artist, Jocelyn, followed by Brennan, Bria, and Jason, our lead programmer, Gabe, followed by Dustin, Rosser, and Summer. And together we are Just As Poor Games, and we're here to talk to you about our project, Stray the Wayward Path.
So Stray is a third-person action-adventure game where you play as Oppo, a boy with a mechanical arm that can do a lot of amazing things. There was a revered volcano that erupted and spread corruption throughout the land, and you were left devastated and alone. However, you were taken in by your caretaker and wise and powerful shaman, Kunara. She raised you and taught you how to move throughout the world and defend and fight for yourself. However, one day, she vanished. Now you must set out on a journey, explore this new world, fight interesting enemies, and glide throughout the entire new landscapes for you, and uncover your role in an unfolding prophecy in Stray, the Wayward Path. Let's take a look.
Her slopes once oozed with magic and magma, a wellspring of creation. And her people thrived until ideology drove them apart. Violence erupted, and soon their god followed suit.
The intent behind Stray is to deliver a sense of wonder to the player through whimsical aesthetics, interesting enemies to fight, and fun exploration mechanics like our grappling hook. We want our players to discover a new world with its own history to uncover.
One of the biggest and most fun challenges we had was designing around our grappling hook. It was initially difficult to establish metrics and figure out what felt good. The grappling hook itself went through 4 major iterations, including adding pendulum motion and waypoints. This meant numerous redesigns and was a hugely collaborative effort, which in the end resulted in the polished product you see before you.
As level designers, John and I wanted to create spaces that encourage the players to freely move around each level. All of our levels take place in their own unique environments, each giving a different perspective and context behind the story we're trying to tell.
For our environments, we focused on modular pieces with flat colors so we could maximize utility and scalability of our assets. And then we added foliage, lighting, and fog to break things up and give a sense of grandeur and atmosphere.
The narrative went through many iterations, but we started with a single premise: a boy and his caretaker lost in a broken world. We established a volcanic setting to provide a dynamic environment for art and level design to play with. To provide emotional complexity, we decided the loving caretaker should end up the antagonist, fueled by good, albeit misguided, intentions.
Enemies in Stray are corrupted versions of creatures which once existed in our world. All of the actions our enemies make are driven by Unreal Engine's gameplay ability system. We made all encounters data-driven, especially the complex ones, so that our designers were easily able to fine-tune the player experience throughout the game.
The world lies in ruins, but all is not lost. Uncover a prophecy, right the wrongs of the past, and tread the wayward path.
Hello, I'm Nick Magnus, a systems and technical designer. On Stray, I focused heavily on prototyping systems. Here, I'll talk about combat. In-game, I wanted combat to be fast, easy, and accurate to the game world. At first, combat was a part of the player character, just like the Gauntlet. However, it was found to be very difficult to aim. To help the iteration process, I made the combat system modular so that multiple pieces could be worked on at once. With this, I made two combos that ended up working pretty well, a heavy combo and a light combo. However, the players were still not moving enough. To address this, the lesser used combo was replaced with Apollo Flame, an energy burst move that hit enemies near the player. We found it worked wonderfully with the grappling hook. As a result of this change, players were almost always in motion during combat, allowing our movement mechanics to shine. My name is Nick Magnus, and thank you for listening.
All right, next is Tales from the Blasterverse.
All right. Hi, everybody. To start off with, we'd just like to thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you giving us your time and coming to the senior show. So to start off with, I'd like to introduce you to our team, Bullet Mullet. I'm Austin London, our marketing producer. Here we have David Merritt, lead producer. Thomas Oda McGillicuddy, no problem, our lead programmer and network programmer. We have Zach Taylor, our AI programmer. Neil Steinbugle, our systems and UI programmer. We have Amanda Gates, our award-winning lead designer and, yes, feel free to clap, and product owner. We have Ben Cortijo, our systems designer. Harry Lindner, our systems and UI designer. Then we have Calvin Johns, our all-purpose designer. We have Max Johnson, our sound designer and composer. Mike Armstrong, our lead artist. Riley Piscusa, our 2D artist and animator. Matthew Dismuke, our environment artist. And Thomas Ray, our weapons and vehicle artist. Thank you. So before we continue, we would like to give a special thanks to Jake Kilpeck, our voice actor, you'll be hearing in a few seconds here. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Shannon Mitchell, the professor who got this team started, and Greg Bemis, the professor who kind of pushed us across the finish line. So we're really proud of the work that we've done over this last semester, and we've changed our name a couple times, which you'll see, but we're excited to present to you Tales from the Blasterverse.
Bullet Mullet presents Tales from Tales from the Blasterverse. So, where in the galaxy did this idea come from?
All right, Tales from the Blasterverse started with just 5 of us with a simple idea of an atom punk shooter. With that, we had 3 main goals. First, to meet and reach that atom punk aesthetic.
And to make things efficient, we really wanted to touch into procedural generation, and with that, we can make hundreds of guns.
That's all well and good, but why atom punk?
We really thought that the aesthetic was really fun, and we've seen darker versions of it in the past, but we really wanted to explore more lighthearted versions.
Yeah, and so we also, looking at the market, kind of saw that there was this rise in retrofuturism, the popularity of it, and so we thought that would be a really cool design space to work in.
I hear you have a lot of guns. Tell me about them.
So yeah, one of the main selling points of this game are guns, guns, guns. So we made 200 plus.
And with that many guns, it was important for us to present the guns to the players that they know exactly what they're doing and how powerful they are against the enemies.
With all this content and technical scope, how did the programmers fare? Oh, really now?
When we were trying to make our multiplayer, we really wanted to investigate cloud gaming as a technology. We ended up using GameSparks. Admittedly, it was a challenge at first, but now we have player data serialization and real-time matchmaking.
So when we were designing our tools, we really wanted to make systems that our artists and our designers could use to rapidly create content. So we made AI, map, gun, and mission editors.
Sounds great. Did you all learn something?
I learned to design around quantity.
Learning how to design for a game that was already established.
This project had so many ups and downs, and through it all, I had a great support group with professors and my team, and I'm so excited for people to see our game. I hope you all enjoy it.
Tales from the Blasterverse, a Bullet Mullet production of galactic proportions.
Backslash is a fast-paced 2v2 game with a focus on controlling download areas throughout the map.
However, it didn't always have this fast-paced gameplay. Originally, its movement was more traditional, with only a double jump and a dash that could go left or right. Yet through testing, players found their vertical movement to be needlessly difficult and slow, leading to the development of floors they could jump and fall through, which happened to reset their jumps and dashes, a bug that actually increased the skill ceiling. To capitalize on this, the dash restrictions were removed. Players could now dash in 360 degrees, giving them complete control of their movement. A skilled enough player could now get practically anywhere in the map without landing and do it in a fraction of the time it took before, creating the frenetic gameplay players came to love. Thank you. This has been brought to you by Benjamin Cortillo.
Okay, and our final game, Visualizer.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. A lot of hard work has been put into these games. I'm Cody Douglas, the lead producer for Visualizer, and this is my wonderful team that have put many hours of hard work into producing what you see up there. To my left, we have our lead artist, Jen Carlin. Then we have Alex Rader, our lead programmer. Simon Esterbrook, our lead systems designer. Ryan Place, our lead level designer. Isaac Singer, also a lead artist. Then we have Aaron Hamilton, our programmer, who focused mainly on audio. Then we have, Jacob Olson. Jacob Olson, one of our level designers. We have Thomas Sullivan, who is a weapons designer. Graham Panier, a audio designer. Brandon Schlossberg, also a producer, my coworker. Miko Demo, he is our UX designer. And then Monica, help me out, Monica. Almodovar, one of our artists. And then I'd also like to thank two people who are not up here with us, whose dedication to the game studio and QA lab have impacted all the games you've seen here for the better. Jonathan Ferguson and Lenny Gingello, who's And without further ado, here's our game, Visualizer.
We are Little Lizard Studio, and this is Visualizer.
I wanted to capture the feeling of doing something cool on the beat, feeling awesome, and make it as purposeful and rewarding as possible.
For our first prototype, we set up the basic mechanics of movement, shooting, and enemy spawning to give us a playground to build in our rhythm mechanic. Next, we added a combo system to give us a currency to work with when developing mechanics, and started experimenting with creating enemy behavior that was tied to the beat. We then started incorporating pickups and adding different types of enemies and weapons to complexify gameplay. Finally, we added a tutorial and level progression to create a complete vertical slice. Coming into the second semester, there was more we wanted to do. Improve our beat detection from a timer to track detection. Add more enemies. Create an endless survival mode. And make a boss fight. But we were just 2 artists and 2 designers, and the 4 of us had too many hats already. So, we brought a few people onto the team. And threw hats at them. And then, we organized into strike teams to tackle main features. And together, we made something awesome.
My name is Jacob Olson, and I'm the campaign level designer for Visualizer. My focus was to create compelling, awe-inspiring levels that show off the art and design as much as possible. We wanted objective-based gameplay to be the main focus of the campaign mode to add depth to the horde-based combat, and so we created spawn points for the enemies called nests. Not only do these nests spawn enemies, but there's also corruption attached to them that can either open up or limit the player's movement in their environment. For example, there are these stairs made of corruption in level 4. They allow the player extra movement throughout their environment. However, when the nest these stairs originate from is destroyed, the stairs are destroyed as well. Nest placement also greatly affects gameplay, such as this nest found in this tighter space. Certain nests prompt players to either be at closer or longer ranges to take them out, making the player move around the environment.
Hi, I'm Ryan, the lead level designer for Visualizer. I want to create unique play experiences, and with Visualizer's Endless Mode, the game and level dynamically evolve throughout each play session, with no two sessions being the same. I want to give players agency over elements of both the level and pacing of play by allowing their actions to influence their environment. I wanted to ensure a natural, cyclical flow to the level through incentivizing the player to purchase new rooms and weapons, find health pickups, and use the weapon upgrade machine so the player would be able to survive as long as possible.
Hi, my name is Simon Esterbrook, and I'm a level and systems designer. Backslash is a competitive, team-based 2D action platformer where players fight over control of different zones. Each zone has a mini challenge attached to it, and the more under control by a team, the easier it is for them to win. When I joined the team, I set out to make a new game mode that would help encourage PvP interaction and prevent snowballing that was present in our first game mode. This is how I came up with Deathmatch. Similar to other deathmatch modes, in Backslash, players would gain points only from destroying the other team. To help maintain a balance between the players focusing on each other and the environment, each kill receives a multiplier based on how many rooms the team controls. In order to aid players in finding each other for a fight, I made an alert system that shows where enemies are trying to take back the different rooms. My name is Simon Esterbrook, and if you would like to see more of my work, please visit my website. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Thomas Sullivan, and I love to design levels. I'm best at designing multiplayer maps for shooters. This is Tachyon, a white box map prototype I built in the Unreal Tournament editor. I used an experimental, iterative design process to build the map around 3 core design pillars. My intent was to make sure these pillars were clearly expressed in every area of the map. First, I wanted to emphasize verticality, breaking up the height of the map wherever I could. My goal was to give the player multiple planes to fight on and plenty of ways to cross between them. Second, I made a point of ensuring there were multiple pathways out of every area of the map. For new players, I wanted the map to feel like a roller coaster of opportunity. And for experienced players, I wanted them to feel a sense of mastery over the strategic options different paths afford. Lastly, I wanted to build the perfect space for pulse-pounding, close quarters combat, with carefully broken sightlines and arenas of differing sizes.
All right, so a few things before we wrap up. First of all, we've got some thank yous to make. So a very special thank you to our testing lab managers, Cody Douglas and Lenny Gangello. Yes. And all their minions for testing these games. Lots of minions. About 500 of them, actually. Without their hard work and efforts, none of these games would have been able to progress as far as they have. We'd also like to say a thank you to, on behalf of the college and graduating class of 2019, I'd like to say thank you to all the recruiters and alumni who have joined us today. You make this day truly special, and we appreciate your efforts in helping to launch the careers of this talented group. And now some more personal thank yous. These are the people that make the senior show possible this year. First and foremost, Daphne Walker. Daphne is the assistant director of the Career Collaborative, who has worked tirelessly on recruitment and organization of this year's event, who has prepped students for interviews, masterminded the senior trip to GDC, and without whom there would be no senior show. Christina Brooker, the Senior Operations Coordinator for Events and Auxiliary Services, who ensures everything is moving smoothly and on track and keeps me sane. Dana Heffern, Gallery Manager, and her work-study students, whose skills you will see shortly in the presentation of the games in the gallery. So up in the booth is Joe Manley, Associate Professor of Game Design, who's been running the show and managed all the tickets today. Greg Bemis, Assistant Professor of Game Design, and Sajid Farouk, Assistant Professor of Game Programming, who have been wrangling everyone so that the work can get done in the gallery. A huge thank you to Jonathan Ferguson, Assistant Professor of Game Design, who handles the complex process of working out the technical setup and preps all of the hardware for the show. Ben Wiley, Instructor of Game Production Management, who managed all the ushers today. Megan Everts, Operations Manager for the Division of Communication and Creative Media, who helped us with the myriad of tiny details in ticket distribution. Joanne Patel, Associate Professor of Game Art and Animation, who handled the creation and printing of all of our posters and signage. And finally, I get to embarrass them. All the faculty, please stand up. Here and in the Champlain room. I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to all of you. Without your incredible talents, energy, and drive, your dedication to our students, this institution, and your craft, the Game Studio would not exist. Please join me in a round of applause again for these incredible people. Okay, now the senior gift. Ooh. Each year, in commemoration of graduating from Champlain College in the Game Studio, seniors are given a challenge coin. A challenge coin traditionally is a token of membership, a means by which members of a group can identify each other. Each graduating class from Champlain College since 2013 has received a challenge coin. It is a small token, but it represents so much. It represents your successes, your failures, your struggles, and your triumphs as you made your way through 4 years of intense rigor. But most importantly, it signifies your membership into an exclusive association of extremely dedicated, hardworking, and talented individuals who have graduated from the Game Studio at Champlain College. You can pick up your coin from me tonight. Okay, and now for me, I get the last word tonight. I know you've been hearing from me all week and all month. I've been haranguing, I've been mother henning, I've been the drill sergeant, I've been begging and pleading, but we are here, and I always get verklempt. So this is an incredible night for me. Do you all remember the spring of 2015? Some of you had Champlain College on your radar for quite some time. Some of you are just discovering us. Do you remember the moment when you said to yourself, yes, I belong here. Champlain College is the place for me. I've found my people. Did you know what you were getting yourselves into? That was a forced laugh, I heard that. Did you realize it was going to be this hard? Would you have come if you knew? Yes, good. All right. Over the last 4 years, have you asked yourself, am I going to make it? Can I really do this? Yes. So last night we had our senior barbecue, and I enjoyed a conversation with a few of the game artists, which turned to the discussion about which year was the hardest. And how the promise of the second year being the hardest was a lie. In truth, each year was more difficult, but in different ways. That's what they thought. Well, here is the truth. After all these years, that was the plan. Each year is harder, but in a different way. All of that hard work, anxiety, stress, successes and failures, it's all part of the plan to ensure your success when you leave Champlain. The alumni all know. I can feel them watching now, nodding heads, grinning. They know the secret because they now are living that success, and they're waiting for you, your network. Okay, I'm trying to not crack up. So right now, say to yourself, I'm ready. And I want to hear it out loud. I want you to say, I am ready. Oh, that was kind of weak. Come on, louder. Yes. Know that you have been tested. Know that you have been pushed outside your comfort zone and have grown. Know that you pushed yourself to new levels of excellence. Know that you're now joining a successful network of allies who want to see you succeed. Know that the Champlain community is always here to help. Your strengths make Champlain stronger. Your dedication makes Champlain more dedicated to you. So I humbly say now, thank you. Thank you for choosing Champlain College and our family.